We're going to listen to another business area. We're going to listen to Tarak Mehta, who is President of Business Area Electrification. Please go ahead, Tarak.
Thank you, Ansi. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. My name is Tarak Mehta, and on behalf of the 50,000 colleagues of the electrification business, I take unique pleasure in giving you an update as part of the ABB Capital Markets Day on where electrification business is headed. So today, I would like to cover what do we do? What do our products, solutions, and service do for our customers? How do we see the market, both in terms of current challenges, but also future opportunities? Where are we headed as a team, and where are the divisions mandated to perform? How are we executing? Some details on execution, along with how do we generate value together, both as a team, but also working with the customers. So as part of the electrification business, I would like to make sure that you have a better appreciation for how we create differentiation. We create differentiation through innovative technologies, core technologies combined with innovative solutions, driving digital solutions, creating value for customers. We also have a performance management process. Each division knows what their mandate is. And I'm very happy today to give you an update on the great progress the team has made with our GIS colleagues in terms of improving its performance and the kind of delivery service that the customers and what we see as the future of that particular acquisition. As well as a quick update on the great also driving the performance and profitability of the installation products business. We also look at portfolio the same way we look at the individual divisions. A structured process, we will give you a good view on how we drive the portfolio process going. I want to give you an idea that we're about 30% into the building space. About half of our turnover goes to distributors, and thanks to the acquisitions and the investments made over the years, we're very well balanced geographically. And that certainly in the year of COVID has really helped us. The recovery of China was visible in the performance of the third quarter. As you can see, we have 4 strong divisions, leading positions in the scope and the area of their responsibility. We will also take a look at the business slightly differently. You can imagine this panel in every single large high-rise building or a small industrial location. $10 billion worth of our products wind up in such an electrical panel. So the job of the sales organization is to get as many of our wonderful smart products into these panels as possible. These are engineered. Every single component is selected by people and our customers who put these panels together. We also have 30% of the business which is outside of the electrical panel. These are items like plugs, sockets, switches. It's also the EV chargers that you might see in the shopping centers. These are making up about 30% of the turnover and about 30 product lines that we have that drive the overall business when it comes to the 3 billion of revenue that I just articulated. We also have, and we deliver on a daily basis, 1.7 million products. It's literally a river of products. Our teams make 30,000 pricing decisions per day. And thanks to those pricing decisions, we've had a very positive impact to the bottom line, even in a year like we had in 2020, a COVID-affected year. From the market perspective, I'd like to walk you through how do we see the market. It's a $160 billion market. You can cut it up into 4 sectors. The electrification business is well balanced. As the market is from a weight and a percentage perspective, so is our portfolio. When you look at the macro trends, we see two which are really driving and creating an exciting future for our business. The shift to electricity. As mentioned earlier today, we see twice as much shift into electricity as the energy source for the world as any other source of energy. So this is exciting for us in the electrification business. We also see, thanks to the acceleration brought about by the COVID situation, the fact that we are digital together here today, so are our customers. So we see the expansion of e-commerce. We see the expansion of digitalization providing us opportunities. We also see 4 high-growth segments. We mentioned before that data centers has been a good growth driver for the electrification business in the last years. I'm happy to report that we see not only good business in 2020, but in the last 2 months, we've seen a very strong acceleration in the data center business. These are all segments where all the divisions are focused from their portfolio perspective, from the way we go to market, from the tools and processes, so that we participate in a disproportionately positive manner into these high-growth segments. Now that we have looked at the business from a sector perspective, from a segment point of view, there's also another way to look at. Please excuse the challenges we have today. We can also look at the business from the geographic dimension. So as you can see here, the top 10 multinationals do not occupy any more than 50% of the geographic market segments. And in the biggest market, which is Asia, Middle East, and Africa, it's 75%. Our scale position as number 2, what does that mean? That means we have the market volumes and we have the manufacturing leverage. Combine that with the innovation and the R&D potential of our business. You put scale, R&D innovation on a digital platform like ABB Ability. What does that mean? We can take an application, a solution from China for the hospitals to make sure their reliability is better thanks to the application and installation of an ABB over to Australia. And from Australia, we can take it to the Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo. All of this gives us the opportunity to take market share from the local competitors. When it comes to the direction of the business, you heard about the ABB Way and the purpose. For us, as a team, we stand for safe, smart, and sustainable electrification for our customers and our partners, all of which is only possible thanks to the great team that we have. Electrification is a business. We want to be first. We want to be first for our customers. We want to be easy to do business with. We want to make sure, and we will make sure, that we have the shortest lead time and the best delivery performance. In a business with 500,000 SKUs, we need to make sure we have the best fill rates. And because of our products are so critical, the fact that we can deliver and we are easy to do business with does provide us with a significant competitive advantage. Innovation is the lifeblood of ABB. This is who we are. This is what we bring as value in terms of new solutions, new ideas. I'm very happy to report to all of you that our teams, our colleagues, have won 18 awards in the first 9 months. We were able to drive and get recognized for the value that we provide. Some of our award-winning solutions and products were ease of doing business, ease of navigation, ease of installation. So the customer focus in innovation is driving value. When we think about digital, think about the entire buying experience. from the time you look for a problem to the time you actually implement a solution. So all of these are areas where we have specific KPIs and we are driving the business. Along with this, we have identified 6 growth drivers for the electrification business. We talked about innovation. We take an architectural control point, like a breaker, and we make sure that not only do we do the basic function, but we add features. We add embedded software. We add capability that creates a higher value than simply protecting the assets and the people, which is the primary purpose of the device. So these are 6 areas of growth. Moving into how do the businesses and the divisions think about performance. So we look at each of our divisions along the following parameters. What do we want them to do from a performance point of view? What capabilities do they need to succeed? What kind of portfolio moves are needed to make these divisions successful not only today, but also into the future? And where should they invest? As an example, we made the GIS acquisition. So for Alessandro, for Giampiero, and for Oliver, who's here with us today, the number 1 priority for them and their teams is to execute. Continue the good work done on the GIS acquisition, drive the execution, get more value out of it, lift the performance of the business. That's mission number 1. And then depending on the business, there are different priorities. If you take a look at the installation products business, now that the performance is improved, what is next for Matthias and his team? To actually look at what makes sense to keep in the portfolio, to actually think through what could be the win-win combinations when it comes to execution. So this is the specific mandates for each of the divisions. But at the end, we are one team, a team that focuses on agility, a team with common core values within the group, a team that cares about not only each other, not only the customers, but what kind of values do we drive in the communities that we belong. It's an engaged team with a common purpose of driving performance, increasing the effectiveness of our solutions, but also making a difference in the world. So let me give you a perspective from the digital. How do we drive value on the digital part of our portfolio? How do we create new revenue streams? We first start with smart products. It's the fact that we've been in the industry. It's the intelligence we gather from our process automation colleagues. We incorporate it into the products. We embed the intelligence so that close to the process, while connected to ABB Ability, we're able to provide a customer a fast interaction. The ability to affect their cost, their effectiveness, their productivity. On top of the ABB Ability, our teams have developed 4 discrete solutions. 4 to 5 business segments that you see here, all of which is part of a marketplace where we have partners. We create the smart Lego blocks, they create the integrated solution. All of which means the ease of doing business, the focus on e-commerce, provides this team with a very clear objective: drive $1 billion worth of e-commerce in the next years, either through the distributors' websites or through the way the customers might want to purchase from us. We want more than $3 billion worth of our portfolio to be searchable online. In the world today, everybody's looking for both the questions, but also the answers to their problems online. And with the product set of 500,000 SKUs, it's not a small task for us to make sure the customers can easily find what they need. Here are a few examples of how we deliver value. A very famous, iconic building, Burj Khalifa. What did we do? We helped the maintenance department go away from preventive maintenance. Every 2 weeks, go down to the basement, look at the electrical panel, write down the features, write down the performance, make sure that things are going okay. Instead, we've retrofitted an ABB Ability connected solution. So we monitor the performance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the maintenance department only needs to go down there when there is an actual need. So we go from preventive maintenance to needs-based maintenance. And the amount of time and effort we save translates into many hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of savings a year for the Burj Khalifa electrical maintenance team. Another example, which speaks to the spirit of the electrification business. Here is a Giga co-locator in North Carolina, a customer of ours. Typically, infrastructure is put in on 10 megawatt increments. So 10 megawatts worth of infrastructure now, 1 year later, 2 years later, another 10 megawatts of infrastructure. Working with the customers, we've been able to design, thanks to the modular construction capabilities and the product portfolio, we're able to design a system and a setup for customers so that they can increase their capacity in 2 megawatt segments. What does that mean? All the cash that they conserve and they preserve, they can use that to fuel a faster growth for their business. Along with the capital savings, we were also able to save them 25% on a typical data center operating cost thanks to the technology and the solutions from us. The last example for today is we want to contribute to a better society, lower emissions. What you will see is a short video of how in the e-mobility space, through the electrical vehicle charging system and setup, the electrification business team was able to make an impact in Netherlands. So here's a video showcasing what are we doing. So really exciting to see the kind of impact we can make and support the society in terms of carbon emissions reductions. So moving on from examples to creating value. For those of you who were with us in November of last year, we had an investor event where we highlighted 3 areas that we needed to focus on to improve the performance of the business: solar inverters, installation products, and GE Industrial Solutions. So how has the team executed in the last year? Very happy to report that the solar inverter business we exited in Q1 of 2020. The installation products business is doing just fine. I'll give you a quick update on how that business is performing. The GE Industrial Solutions business, we've handed it over to the 3 divisions: Distribution Solutions, Smart Power, and Smart Building. And thanks to the very good execution, despite the challenges of COVID in 2020, the electrification team was able to hit the margin corridor in the 3rd quarter of this year. I'm very proud of the achievement of the team. It wasn't easy, lots of personal sacrifices, lots of hard work, but nevertheless, the determination towards achieving the objectives and the commitments we made, at least for me, was a very personally satisfying moment of my career so far in ABB. So well done to the team. From the execution perspective, let me give you a little bit of a preview into how not only are we doing on GIS, but what does the future look like. So five-year plan for GIS. Remember, this was an underinvested business. We focused on product conversion, cost outs, optimizing the footprint, and investing in an underinvested business in order to improve its performance from where it was to where we think it should be. So very happy to report that out of the $260 million of product conversion the team has already achieved under 130 million, and we expect to reach $260 million for the product conversion from the GE product to the better and more profitable part of the portfolio, which is the ABB product for the customer. We will get there even 1 year ahead of schedule. When it comes to the cost synergies, we're already 140 million by the end of this year. That's our projection. We will be more than 200 million 1 year earlier than originally planned, thanks to the effort and the speed of the execution of the team. When it comes to investments, we needed to invest a lot of money to improve the performance of this business. We have already invested 330, and we will finish the program of investment with 410 million. That's our current estimate of the business. In the meantime, during a difficult 2019, we got $97 million back from GE as a combined team effort with our M&A organization and our finance team. The proudest achievement for us has been the 52 new products introduced into the US and the global market in 2020. The customers accepted them, we have sold them, and the team has done a great job of getting 52 new products out into the market. The second business from a turnaround is installation products. Less than 1 year, more than 250 basis points improvement. This business now is operating at low teens. They've done a great job. The future, look for win-win with the distributors. Focus on the strong product brands which our customers love. Drive the business profitability through not only cost, but also through growth. This is a business which is poised for growth given the performance improvements that we've seen so far. So now we looked at the business, the two specific businesses. Here is what we do on a day-to-day basis. Through the first 9 months of this year, the entire team has reduced our SG&A costs by 8%, certainly contributing to the better performance that you have seen versus expectation, and in some cases even versus our own expectations. We have a continuous improvement philosophy in electrification. Hundreds of projects, maybe even thousands of projects. The biggest one might be $1 million. Most of them are probably 10,000 or less. All of those projects contribute to a $200 million improvement on an annual basis. And despite COVID, the team was able to hit that particular target, and we will hit the target of over 200 million in operational improvements. And pricing has become more of a religion inside of electrification than just a process. The reason I say that is, even in a COVID year, we expect to get $71 million of benefit from price and commodity execution when it comes to the product side of the business. So this is what we do on a continuous basis. We also look at our product portfolio on a continuous basis. What you see in front of you, and we just announced this morning, the decision on power conversion as part of the portfolio assessment process. But each and every one of those dots is some product line that a particular division needs to take a close look at. We run it in a structured way every quarter. We take a look and see the performance, make an assessment on the strategic fit, and then we make a decision. The best is for an organic improvement of this business, this particular business line, or that particular business line inside of a division. You also see two acquisitions that we have made, which have been run by the divisions. So in one case, it was Oliver, and the other case, it was Giampiero. So they made strategic acquisitions run by the divisions, selected by the divisions, supported by the business area. So it's a structured process to drive performance and improvement. So when you look and put everything together, so how do we take this business from where it is to be solidly, and we aim to be very solidly in the margin corridor by 2023. Key action items. High growth segment focus to drive the top line. Continuous improvement, more than $200 million a year, thousands of projects. Continue the pricing discipline. find opportunities to segment the market and get the value, not only of the existing portfolio, but of the margin accretive digital part of the portfolio. Then we also look at the overall portfolio, continue the execution, and we will continue the good momentum on the GIS business, and also the continued improvement in the installation products business to drive the portfolio contributions. And at the end, this business does need, in some specific areas, more R&D, for example, in digital, more investments in sales incentives so that we can sell the digital portfolio. So when you put the whole picture together, what you see is a business with exciting prospects in terms of positioning itself to high growth segments. A business where innovation in core technologies combined with the digital solutions based on ABB Ability provide us with profitable growth opportunities. A business where we look at not only continuous improvement, we don't only look at GIS turnaround, but we also look at increasing the profitability through selectivity, focus, and segmentations. You combine that with the portfolio management concept, which includes turnarounds, and for the divisions who have the performance where it needs to be, bolt-on acquisitions to drive both the technology portfolio, the revenue portfolio, and even in some cases, adjacencies that make sense for them. So when you put it all together, I feel we are in a fantastic business, great market potential. The team has proven a track record of improving business sequentially, quarter on quarter, over the last 6 quarters. So we feel very strongly that barring unforeseen economic circumstances, we are on a good trajectory to be well within our margin corridor by 2023. So thank you very much. Ansi, over to you for Q&A.
What a good note to end. We'll now go into the Q&A session, and we'll have the first question from Gail at Deutsche Bank. Please, Gail, go ahead with your question.
Oh, thanks very much, and good afternoon again. I have 2 questions, actually. The first one is about the commercial buildings market that you identified as a high growth segment for the division. So could you describe a bit more what you assumed in your guidance for the non-residential construction market outlook over the next couple of years, you know, in the context of the pandemic and the development of work from home? And the second question is about the sort of digital investments you may or may not do in the future. I mean, some of your competitors have just started to accelerate the digitalization of their electrification business by, for example, making some inroads in areas like the design and simulation of electrical networks. So I'd just like to get your thoughts on this, if it is a path you could embark at some point in time as well.
Gail, for your question. So let me try to answer them first. On the commercial building side, we are focused more on the smaller buildings where the innovation portfolio that we have developed, Oliver and his team have developed, allows us to automate buildings that were not possible for us to automate in the future. We're reaching price points and performance on smaller buildings and providing a much better environment in those buildings, thanks to the innovation potential and the innovative solutions, which are more open architecture rather than typically the dedicated networks that the buildings have. In terms of the economic outlook, we see more in the building automation space the opportunity to grow rather than just pure commercial building construction. So it's really on the automation side of the commercial buildings where we see bigger opportunity than per se the commercial building sector, which, you know, everybody has an opinion in terms of what's going to happen. So far, in terms of the actual performance, in terms of the actual construction and the needs on our portfolio, we don't see commercial buildings at this point in the economic cycle as being soft. Don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now, but at this point, we do not see the softness. When it comes to the digital investments, we are more interested in digital investments, including M&A. Each division leader knows that they have a green light to both look at, but also evaluate and then make acquisitions if it makes sense, focused on the application. Does it add value? Does it help us pull through more of the product? Does it make a difference to the customer? So instead of a platform approach on digital, we're taking a more focused based on vertical segment approach on digital. So if there are solutions for food and beverage, there are solutions for grid, as you mentioned, complexity and grid automation. Those are the areas where we are absolutely looking for, as well as our competitors, into those spaces for M&A and acquisitions.
Thank you. Ben Uglow at Morgan Stanley is next in line. Would you please put through your question? Are you there? No, we don't. I think. No, we haven't got him. We're going to see if Will is on the line.
Again, thank you. I have a couple of questions, please. The first, could we start just to discuss distribution solutions? The segment that distribution solutions competes within is notoriously competitive and often deals with large projects with demanding customers. When I look at your peer group performance, it is often below the level of the division or your business area target margin. I just wonder, do you realistically think you can get that distribution solutions division into or comfortably into the middle of your business area target margin range, or would it just be good enough to be on par with your competitors? The second is regarding the SG&A. Congratulations on getting the costs down on the indirect level. How sustainable is that, given that a lot of it will have been linked to the pandemic effects, which will probably unwind through 2021 and 2022 onwards? I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. On the distribution solution side, our business is a little bit unique in distribution solutions in the sense that we are perhaps the biggest industrial exposure, plus we have a significant utility part of the business, which keeps us sharp, which keeps Alessandro and his team quite competitive. So we like the exposure in utilities, which is, as you said, very cost competitive. But that cost competitiveness translates itself into good value for the customers and good margins for us on the industrial side. Second, we also have a significant amount of component business in the distribution solution. So not everything we do is projects which are complex. Yes, we do have demanding customers, but we watch very carefully both the commercial terms, but more importantly, the technical terms for the execution and the requirements. So we take the right quantity of value-added ABB scope projects, and we push as hard as we can with Alessandro and the team, Mike and our global markets organization to sell as many of the very good margin components that are quite critical for all suppliers of switchgear and projects. When it comes to the SG&A question, absolutely right. Some of the SG&A is specifically associated with travel. We do want our salespeople to go see customers when the customers are willing to see them. Some might never be willing to see them, so there is a structural element of cost that is permanently reduced even in travel. But we also see that there will be some bounce back up on the SG&A side. The 2020 levels are probably not sustainable if you want to profitably grow, invest in digital solutions. So yes, we do see some element of that savings will need to be put back into the business in order for it to grow profitably into the future.
Thank you. Let's see if we have another question from James Moore, perhaps, at Redburn. Are you there, James?
I am. Hopefully you can hear me. Thanks, Nancy. Tarak, I wonder if I could ask you two, one on GEIS and one on Thomas & Betts or installation products. Just on GEIS, can I clarify, did you say that the margin went up 250 bits to hit a double-digit margin expected for 2020? And if so, could you help me a little bit on the progression? Because I thought the GEIS margin had gone from 3% in 18 to 4.5 in 19, which would suggest a big jump. Maybe you could correct me on the progression if I did hear correctly. My question on Thomas & Betts is, I was partly expecting Thomas & Betts to be on the non-core list because I've always felt that you bought it for a distribution channel. It wasn't the right channel. You bought GEIS to get the right channel. And maybe I could think about Thomas & Betts as becoming less core further down the line, 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time when you've got the margin to the desired level, because there are no electrons flowing through it, no digital, no peak shaving, less environmental potential. Is that a fair characterization of installation products or not at all?
Thanks, James. Let me try to clarify the GIS question and the installation products very clearly. So the GIS business is on a 200 million bottom line improvement trajectory as we had committed. When it comes to the installation products, for some reason, don't know why, even though it's mathematically easy to calculate in November, we never said that that business was single digits. So it has been a double digits business. It has improved under new management and the new efforts of selectivity and focus to be in the low teens. So the installation products business is in the low teens, is executing well. So in terms of the Thomas & Betts portfolio installation products, there are some product lines in that portfolio that we will, working with the divisions, take a look at, with Matthias and his team to take a look at. Do they belong in the long-term future of that business? However, it's one of the more is not as well understood businesses in our portfolio. There's significant amount of good margin, high value add, utility exposure. And then we have also some very good margin industrial components of the Thomas & Betts business. It does go on the same truck as our rest of our portfolio to the same site, installed by the same individual. So there is a supply synergy, there is a sales synergy, and there is a distribution synergy of installation products portfolio. But we will take a look at all elements and all product lines inside of installation products to make a decision in terms of do all of them belong as part of the electrification portfolio going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And we will take the last question for this Q&A session from Jane McKenna at Barclays.
Hi there, Shane rather than Jane. I use Jane at the weekends only. Final question really on product introductions from GEIS. In the presentation, you've highlighted obviously 52 new products introduced as the sort of best of both. If we go back to the sort of pricing and the bridge, I presume that's been one of the key drivers. But when we look back at the Capital Markets Day, you talked about 100 new products to be introduced. Have some been held back because of the current environment? Can we expect the rest of those products to be introduced in the earlier part of 2021 and obviously a similar impact in terms of pricing as we look into next year? And then just one final follow-up question on your data center exposure. Are you able to give us a feel for how you're exposed across the three different segments in terms of hyperscale, co-location, and sort of edge or local, and how you're feeling about the outlook for that market specifically for next year? Given the acceleration of growth that we've seen this year, there's a lot of concern about a further air pocket in data center for next year. So anything regarding the outlook for that vertical for next year would be useful. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Shane. No, you're right. Our plan was to introduce more products in 2020 than we were able to. The main reason for that was COVID and the challenges of coordinating product introduction plans with customers. So we decided not to go with the entire portfolio all at once. We're happy with the conversion. So we've had a very good hit rates on the products that we have brought into the market, but we didn't want to overload the sales organization and also our customers organization with too many product changes and specific changes that they would have to make in their own drawings. So most of that was held back because of the challenges of getting to the customers and getting the product specified in terms of the introduction. So yes, we will plan, and we are planning to continue with the product introduction into 2021 and beyond. And in terms of the data centers, we all thought the data center market would be softer than it is. The acceleration of the last 6 to 8 weeks has been quite impressive, to say the least. So it's difficult to say whether the momentum will continue to be at that level. That would be a breathtaking growth in the data center market. I don't think it will be that high. But I do believe, or we do believe, that between the hyper, colo, and the edge, we believe the colo will probably be a little bit surprising in terms of its growth. Hyper is dependent on 5 players in the market, as you know, and they all are reaching the capacity to execute more than the desire to add capacity. So it's a little bit on their capability to execute the projects. I think the demand is there. On the edge, it's a mixed picture. Depends on the geography and depends on your market access vis-a-vis the customers. So we believe data centers will be strong. Will it be as strong as it has been in the third and the fourth quarter of 2020? Probably not as strong, but even then it will be a good growth trajectory if it continues to be even a little bit lower than what we see in the last 2 to 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to close this afternoon.